This week, I got a really cool opportunity. I got to go on Wednesday to Hope Christian School, and I got to teach classes for a Bible teacher there. But I thought it'd be fun if instead I did a Q&A. So I just rolled up and I was like, if you have questions, tell me about them. And I got some crazy questions, okay? There's one question that came up every single class. Somebody say, every single class. And the question that I was asked was this: do you play Fortnite? Come on. I don't play Fortnite. I'm so sorry. But I have played Fortnite, and I played Apex Legends a lot, which is kind of like Fortnite. Who said it doesn't count? Bro. Why'd you have to do me like that, dude? Games like Fortnite are so fun because you're in cohorts with like 2 other people. You have this whole team, and you're just trying to be the king of the hill. You're trying to make it all the way to the end. You're trying to be the best in the arena. And one thing that I have learned playing games like Fortnite is that your team matters a lot. I don't know if you've been playing and like maybe your teammates get out like in the first like 2 minutes. How hard is it to get all the way to the end? Well, maybe you're really good and maybe it's really easy for you. But for me, it's really hard. And I've always found this: it's easier when I have a good team around me. And it's even easier when I have people that I play with a lot. So like when I'd get my friends online, I'd say, yo, you gonna get on Apex tonight? And then we'd have like a party, and I knew how they played. I knew when they were like rushing certain spots and when I should jump in. The reality is teams make things a lot easier. Why do we try to live lives as Christians alone? I feel like there's this thing in Christianity where we feel like we have to just do all of this by ourselves. Like maybe even you show up on a Saturday and yeah, you're around people, but when you leave and you're struggling with things and you're just trying to figure out how to live life with Jesus, we keep all of it to ourselves and we just want to win this thing alone. In the text that we're reading tonight, we're reading in John chapter 13. Jesus sets up the idea that we are not supposed to do this alone. Let me give you some backstory. This is the night before Jesus dies. This is the last time that he will ever get to have dinner before he goes and dies. This is the last time that he will get to hang out with his disciples. He'll be able to share a meal with them. He'll be able to have deep conversations with them. This is kind of like his last dance. You got on Netflix, right? Last Dance. You guys seen it? This is some of Jesus' most important words. If this is the last thing that he's going to say to his disciples in the 3 years that he's been like walking with them, teaching them, his last words are going to be so important. And he spends a lot of these last words talking to them about how to live life together. If Jesus wanted us to do this alone, this would have been an excellent time for him to go to his disciples and just say, and as soon as I go and die, I want all of you to just like run and go do your own thing. Sound good? And this is exactly how you're going to do it. But that is the opposite of what he did. Instead, he taught and specifically showed them how they can live life together, how they can do this thing together. As we've been going through the series, All the Small Things, we're talking about small things that have really big impact in our lives. We're talking about how God wants to change you. He wants to shift these small things in your life so that way you look more like him. We learned about the word, it's called sanctification, right? You guys remember the word sanctification? How Jesus is turning us to look like him. And as we're ending the series tonight, we're going to be learning that yes, Jesus wants to change you. Yes, he wants to sanctify you. But he doesn't want to change you all by yourself. Your individual relationship with Jesus is so important. Do not mishear what I'm saying. When you spend time with him, how you serve him, how you worship him, that is so important. But guess what? Our collective relationship with Jesus is just as important. Because God came to adopt you into the family of God. So that means if we're a big family, we all have to get along. We all have to learn how to become sanctified together. We all have to learn how to worship the Lord together and serve the Lord together. He does not want you to do this alone. Think about it this way. In a family, if one of the siblings has a really good relationship with the dad, or maybe you're on a team, like basketball, football, volleyball, whatever. Maybe one of the players has a really good relationship with the coach. Like they're tight. But as soon as they get with the team, they don't know how to work with anyone. They just get in fights with everybody. They're trying to do things on their own terms. They're not trying to play with the rest of the team. There's problems there, right? In the same way, since we are the family of God, it's so wonderful to have a good relationship with the Father. It's necessary. It's vital. It's the only reason we're here, we learned last week. But we also have to work together. We also have to learn how to do this thing together because I think we're better together than alone. I think that if we were all to be Fortnite friends, we would get on and play Fortnite together all the time. I think we'd win a lot more battle royales, don't you guys think? Come on. You can make some noise for that if you like Fortnite. There's a problem. We're really bad at being friends with each other. We say mean things to each other. We want people to serve us instead of us serving them. We want what's best for us instead of what's best for other people. And maybe you've been in a friendship that's hurt you, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. But maybe you've been the friend that's hurt somebody else, and you also know exactly what I'm talking about. We need Jesus to help us be good friends. And I think that as we're ending the series, what's the last seed that we're planting? What's the small thing we're talking about? We're talking about how to be a good friend. We're talking about how to be a good teammate, a good team member. So I think there's a couple things you need to understand in order to be a good friend. In order to be a good Fortnite friend, there's a couple things you need to understand. The first thing is you must love like he does. John chapter 13, verse 1. Now before the feast of the Passover, when Jesus knew that his hour had come to depart out of this world to the Father, having loved his own who were in the world, he loved them to the end. I don't know what you're experiencing. I don't know what you're going through. I don't know if you feel like Jesus hasn't been loving you. Jesus will love you to the very end. He's not going to go anywhere. During supper, when the devil had already put into the heart of Judas Iscariot, Simon's son, to betray him, Jesus, knowing that the Father had given all things into his hands, and that he had come from God and was going back to God, he rose from supper. He laid aside his outer garments, and taking a towel, tied it around his waist. Then he poured water into a basin and began to wash the disciples' feet and to wipe them with the towel that was wrapped around him. Maybe you're reading that You're like, bro, why does Jesus have the dogs out during supper? That's kind of weird. He should have his shoes on, right? Imagine someone just pops their shoes off in the middle of, I don't know, Denny's. Be kind of strange, right? We don't really see people washing each other's feet anymore. Like, maybe I'll wash my daughter's feet because she's one and she barely even knows that she has feet, right? So I have to wash that. But this isn't a thing that we see anymore. So what's going on? Why is Jesus washing his disciples' feet? Why is he doing this? We talk a lot about how in Jewish culture there was a lot of traditions. There was a lot of ways that they had to performatively get themselves to God. And they believed this. They believed that your hands and your feet were like super unclean. So the priests back in the day, they used to have to wash their hands like every time they would go into the temple. That's the first thing they would do. They would have to clean themselves before they went into the presence of the Lord. So it'd be like for us, every time we're going to pray to God, we got to pull out a little thing of hand sanitizer, toss it in our hands. We got to wash our hands, wash our feet really quickly because if I don't do that, if I don't clean myself, then how can I be in the presence of a holy God? Or we'd have a little like wash station. We'd say, go to the bathroom. You need to wash your hands before you come in here. If you use the bathroom, please wash your hands, okay? This has nothing to do with you being close to the Lord. This just has to do with being clean, all right? In order to get close to God, they had to wash themselves of their sin. So this catches on in culture. And before they would, their feet would get dirty, they're walking around in mud. They didn't really have Jordans back in the day. They had like sandals. And they didn't have like sidewalks. They just had like dirt roads. Their feet were nasty, bro. Like, I'm going to be real. I don't think I really want to see someone's feet from back in the day. That sounds kind of nasty. So before they would eat dinner, they would have a bowl of water, they'd have a towel, and they would have to wash their feet. Not just because their feet were dirty, but because ceremonially they were saying, I'm a sinner. I have to wash myself before I'm in the presence of the Lord. So this was a common thing. We don't see it now, but it was very common back in the day. Every time they would eat, every time they would enter somebody else's house, they would wash their feet. But it's very specific who would wash the feet. It wasn't really the owner of the house. It wasn't the Pharisees, right? The pastors of the day, I'm so religious, I'm so close to God. It wasn't those people. Kings wouldn't wash someone's feet. It was servants that would wash the feet. You guys know the story of Cinderella? You know how she has to do everything? She's like a servant in the house. She has to wash all the things. She's seen as less than. That's the person who would wash the feet. So what we're seeing here is unheard of. What we're seeing here would be culturally crazy. Like if someone had a video of it, they'd be posting it on social media and being like, what is Jesus doing? Can you even believe that he's breaking all of these church laws? Oh, it's so beneath me to wash someone else's feet. That's a servant's job. And what Jesus is showing here is how you really love somebody. It starts at the beginning. It says that Jesus loved them to the end. The reason it starts that way is because he's saying that what he's about to do is how to love them. How he loved the disciples. The way to love somebody is to serve them. It was shocking to me. Yes, the students at Hope asked me about Fortnite. It was funny. But every single class, a certain question came up. And I'm not picking on a certain school. I'm saying this because I think it would be at every school that I went to. I think it would be the same thing. They asked, how do I be a good friend? Or one kid asked this, why do people make fun of the way other people look? essentially saying, why are we so bad at being in relationships with each other? Why are we such bad friends? And I think Jesus is telling us the answer here is because we don't actually know what serving and loving somebody is. You see, we want to be served. I don't want to wash someone's stinky feet. I want someone else to wash my feet. Don't you think? Isn't that an easier thing to do? It is much easier to just kick your shoes off. You're used to the smell because, you're used to the way your own feet smell. And you just get to sit there and they take care of you. They get to serve you. That's so easy, isn't it? But what about being the person that steps down low and you get in the nasty? You get in the thing that smells. You get in the thing that they are ashamed of. And you say, I'm going to wash your feet. I'm going to serve you. This is not about me. This is about you. I think that we need to learn how to serve others instead of being served ourselves. The way that you be a good friend is stop asking the question, what is that person going to do for me? Because I know that happens. It's really easy to say, man, if I'm friends with that person, do you know all the things that I'm going to get? Do you know the position that I'm going to get? Dude, I'm going to get to be a part of that friend group. I'm going to be the cool kid now. Dude, maybe if I'm just friends with that guy, then maybe by some chance I'll be able to get on the basketball team. Maybe if I'm really buddy-buddy with the coach, I'll get there. Is that really caring about somebody? Or are you just thinking about what they can give you? I think a lot of us have a hard time finding good, long-lasting friends, and we don't know how to be a good friend because we just want something from them. That dude's got a PS5. We should all go hang out at his house. Not because you want him to feel good and feel like he has friends, just because he's got money and just because he's got stuff. That's not loving somebody. But what if in a friendship, you started looking at people and you started saying, what can I do for that person? I don't care what they can do for me. They might not even have anything. They might be actually the most uncool kid at school. What can I do for him? He literally can't give me status. He can't give me anything, but I want to be his friend. I'm going to serve him. This is what love and service looks like. So as you guys are hanging out with your friends here, dude, how cool is it to be in a relationship like that? Where you say what up to each other, and you're not thinking, man, I wonder what they're trying to get from me. They're always trying to bum a snack off me. They're always trying to just get something from me. What if you talked with somebody and when you showed up in the room, they're like, it's you. I'm so excited to see you. I walked up and I was like, I saw some of your guys' faces. I'm like, I'm so excited to see you here right now. Because I'm glad that you guys are here. Doesn't that feel good when you have that kind of a friendship? I think I'd rather be friends with Jesus than someone who's always trying to take something from me. So if you want to be a good friend, you're having a hard time with relationships, you're always getting in fights with people here, I don't know, maybe people are saying things about you, they don't really like you. Dude, we need to learn to love like he loves. None of this is about us. It's about serving each other. I know that I'm up here and I'm teaching and I have your attention right now, but this is not about me. Actually, what I am here for is to wash your feet. The pastor of a church, the person who's at top, the top dog, their entire role should be asking the question, what can I do for the people who show up? Because it's not about me. It's not about us. It's about you guys. We want to see you have good relationships with Jesus. I want to see you have better friendships. I want to see you actually enjoy going to school because you're having a better time with people. I want to help you with the stuff that's going on at home. even if it looks really messy. Even if you're ashamed of it. Even if you're frustrated that you're still struggling with that thing. I'm here to help you. That's our role. So we need to love like he loves. We need to serve each other. The other thing you need to understand if you want to be a really good friend is that you will never not need Jesus. Part of being a good friend is your attachment to Jesus. We're going to read verses 6 through 11 real quick. He came to Simon Peter, who said to him, "Lord, do you wash my feet?" Jesus answered him, "What I am doing, you do not understand now, but afterward you will understand." Peter said to him, "You shall never wash my feet." Jesus answered him, "If I do not wash you, you will have no share with me." Simon Peter said to him, "Lord, not my feet only, but also my hands and my head." And Jesus said to him, "The one who is bathed does not need to wash, except for his feet, but is completely clean. And you are clean." Confession time. I'm the friend that doesn't want any help. I'm the one that's like, when someone's like knows how to do something better than me, I want to figure it out myself, okay? It's hard accepting help from other people. And I can remember a time that I used to be in gymnastics, I used to do parkour, and one time I did this flip, and I hyperextended my knee. So I landed on one leg, and my knee like popped backwards. So I had like contusions on my bones, I kind of like pinched my meniscus. Maybe some of you guys have hurt yourself pretty badly. Maybe even, this wasn't that bad. I was only off my knee for like 2 months. Maybe you guys have had really long injuries. Walking around on crutches, needing people to carry things for me, that was not going to happen. I don't know what to tell you. I would walk around UNM campus. It's big. I don't know if you guys have ever been to Pope Joy, but I was in college when this happened. I'm going around my first semester at UNM, all the way across campus, like a mile, 2 miles, on crutches with like a 20-pound backpack. And I'd get to a door and people would be like, "Let me open it for you." And I'd be like, "Heck no." And I'd like lean back on my crutches and like kick it open. I'm like, "Let me open the door for you." I didn't want help. And I looked really dumb because I'm struggling with these crutches, trying to carry things with all of my hands. And if I had just asked somebody, "Hey, can you carry my books?" I'm sure someone would have walked with me, and I'm sure someone would have helped me. But it's really hard accepting help. Peter's this friend. Peter's the friend that doesn't want help. Peter's main problem in all of the Gospels, when we see, is that he looks more at what he can do than what Jesus can do. So we talked about it last week. He's walking on the water. And at first he got it right. He's like, "Look, Jesus is making me do this." And then he looks at the waves and he's like, "Oh my gosh, I should not be out here. What am I doing? I can't do this." And then he has to call on Jesus again. And then here, he's saying, "No, Jesus, I know that you're going to wash my feet. I know you want to serve me. But I'm better than all of the other disciples. I don't need you to wash my feet. Far be it from me, Lord, that you would do this. I don't want your help." And even there's a time, Jesus, whose whole goal, his whole life, is to go to the cross. Jesus says he's going to go to the cross, and Peter says, "No, I will never let you go to the cross, Jesus. I'm going to stop you from doing that." And Jesus literally says, "Get behind me, Satan. You're trying to stop the work that I'm doing." Peter was the dude that didn't want help. He wanted to do it all by himself. And it's really hard to be friends with that person, isn't it? I think Peter's a lot more relatable than we like to admit. I think when Jesus wants to help us with something, we're like, "Oh, no, no, don't worry. I'm gonna do this. I've been a Christian long enough. I'm going to take care of it. Don't worry. No, Jesus, I don't need to talk to you about that sin because I've actually already put a bunch of passcodes on my phone so I can't look at things anymore. Like don't worry, I got it. I've got it handled. I don't need to talk to you about it." Or Jesus, don't worry, I'll fix the way that I talk to my parents. I'm going to handle it. I don't want you to help me. And we roll up to church, and we put on a face, we put on a mask, as if we've got it all together. I've been doing this long enough. I've got it covered, Jesus. And everyone else, just so you know, I've got it covered. I don't need Jesus to wash my feet. If I'm the disciples here, don't you think you'd be looking at what Peter did and you'd start to ask, oh man, should I not have let Jesus wash my feet? Maybe I shouldn't have done that. Oh, Jesus, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. Take it back. Like, stand up. This is what happens in church communities. For some reason, we feel like we got to show up to church with our dogs and a really nice pair of shoes, all freshed up. You got your Gold Bond sprayed in there. And we're like, dude, I have to have it all together, because if I don't have it all together, what are they going to think about me? What's my leader going to think? What's my pastor going to think? Man, I really, really want to serve on that team. I want to go help with the video. I want to help with this. But if I show up and don't put on this really good face like I'm perfect, like I'm not going to get any of that. And churches turn into these places where we feel like we have to be perfect around all of each other because we feel like we don't want the help from Jesus. We don't want help from anyone. We want to have it all on our own. What does Jesus tell Peter? If I don't wash you, if you don't get help from me, Peter, you will have nothing to do with me. Maybe we've gotten really good at washing our feet. Maybe we've gotten really good at putting on a show and shining the shoes up. But no matter how good we are at putting on an outward show, there is something in here that we can't fix ourselves. No matter how good you feel like you're doing on the outside, there's still that thing on the inside that you know you did. There's still that thing on the inside that you know you can't change. And this is where Jesus comes in and he says, no, let me wash you. If you didn't catch it by now, Jesus washing his disciples' feet is showing them what he's going to do on the cross. He's like, your feet are dirty. Your soul is dirty. You have all this sin. You've been trying to work it off. You can't do it. Let me do it. I'm going to do it for you. I'm going to wash you clean. And I think there's a really interesting thing that Jesus says to Peter, because Peter always does this. Again, he doesn't want help. He's like, oh my gosh, I did the wrong thing. Let me overcompensate. So he's like, oh, don't just wash my feet, Jesus. Wash all of me, please. And he overcompensates. And Jesus says, no, Peter, you got it wrong again. It's just your feet that need to be washed because I've already cleansed your soul. Check this out. Why do your feet need to be washed? Because your feet, even after you're saved, they're the things that still touch the world. So maybe you received salvation. At that moment, Jesus washed you. He has cleansed you. Your body is clean. But you didn't go up to heaven right away where we're going to be perfect. We're still down here. We're still walking in the mud of sin. There's all this stuff that goes on, and we still struggle with stuff. After you're a believer, we've talked about it, the difference between salvation and sanctification. Sanctification is Jesus just wants to wash your feet. You don't need to come up for that altar call again. You don't need to go and get baptized again. Maybe you're feeling guilty about something because your feet have been in the mud. They're dirty, they're smelly. What you're experiencing is not that you're not saved. What you're experiencing is that you got stanky feet, okay? You just need Jesus to wash them. And the temptation for you is to get to a place where you think, I don't need you anymore for this thing, Jesus. I've got it covered. I don't do that thing anymore. And I remember being a couple of years into my, being a Christian and thinking, man, Jesus, when am I going to have to stop going back to you for this? I'm going to give you a hint. The point of being a Christian is not that you won't need Jesus, is that you go back to him again and again and again and again. And you have your feet washed again and again and again. Peter needed to understand this. So you're already saved, man. But if you want to be a good friend, someone that's uplifting to the people around you, stop trying to put a front on like you're better than them all the time. It feels really bad when you walk around someone who constantly thinks that they're better than you. Makes you feel like you're not enough. Makes you feel like you just can never make it. It makes you feel like you can never be that person. But I'm going to be real. The reason we do this to other people in the first place is because we're overcompensating for what we know is going on inside. If you're struggling with sin, don't put on a mask. Don't just try and hide it from everyone. Don't try and act like you're better so that way no one will see it. You need to talk to somebody. That brings us to the last thing that we need to understand as a good friend. You need to understand that you are called to help each other. Verse 12. When he had washed their feet and put on his outer garments and resumed his place, he said to them, "Do you understand what I have done to you? You call me teacher and Lord, and you are right, for I am so. If I, then, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also ought to wash one another's feet. For I have given you an example that you also should do just as I have done to you. Truly, truly, I say to you, a servant is not greater than his master, nor is a messenger greater than the one who sent him." Jesus is calling us to wash each other's feet. And this place, the church, is not supposed to be a place where all of us get prim and proper and hide all of the things that we're going through and look perfect so that way our friends are jealous of how good our life is. CY is not social media. You don't need to make it look better than it actually is. I know how it is. I'm having this experience at the park, and then I'm like, you know what would be really cool? If everyone just saw how good of a dad I was and how good of a husband I'm putting this moment on social media, and I'm going to take a photo, and it's going to look perfect, and no one's going to see all the other things that happened when we were at the park, where I actually just spent 20 minutes editing a photo on my phone instead of playing with my kid. Social media is not real life, yet we treat real life like it's social media. And we show up to church and we're like, man, everyone needs to think I'm some sort of way. Everyone needs to think I'm perfect, so that way they're jealous of me. So that way they want what I have. So that way they think I'm better than I actually am. But what it's doing is it's pushing people away. Let me just share with you my experience when I was younger. I grew up in church, and I felt like I had to be somebody when I showed up. I felt like I could not share with people what I was doing, what I was going through, because honestly, I had really bad experiences with people where I did share, and it was not handled well. I was put down. I was kicked when I was down. Man, you should be doing this better. How dare you? People prejudged me. I got to a point where I had a reputation, and I didn't even know that these people knew me. What does that mean? People talked about me. People talked about the things that I had done, and I didn't even know these people, and they knew things that I had done. Why? Because it's easier to talk about somebody else's thing than to wash their feet. It's easier to talk about what someone else is going through, because if I just say what they're doing, if I just say the bad thing they shared with me, then, man, maybe no one will ask me about what I'm doing. Ooh, you know what? Man, that one kid was vulnerable in groups. Let's just laugh about it. Let's make a big deal about it. And then maybe the leader won't ask me. Maybe they won't ask me what I'm doing. It pushed me out of the church. because I could never be enough. And I started to think that the good news of the gospel was that I had to be perfect, was that I had to do all of these things. That is bad news. That is not the good news of the gospel. The good news of the gospel is that no matter how muddy your feet are, no matter how smelly and stinky they are, Jesus wants to wash your feet. No matter how many times you need it, he loves to do it. He wants to help you. So we should do the same. What if we started viewing this space and look around? Look at the people next to you. It's okay. You guys can look at all the people next to you. These are your Fortnite friends, man. You're just trying to live your life for Jesus together. You're trying to do this well. And what if instead of trying to be better than each other, what if you said, I'm not better than you. Let me help you. You shared this thing with me. I'm not going to share it with anyone else. I actually just want to help you get better at this. Or actually, bro, thanks for being vulnerable. I'm actually going through the same thing. Do you want to work on this together? The church is not a place for us to just pick at people and point them and kick them out because they're not perfect enough. The church is a place for broken people. Jesus said that he didn't come to he came to save the sick. He came to save people that weren't going through it. So all of those people at your school that you're like, I'm a Christian, I could never hang out with them. They're just too bad. That's the person that Jesus came to save. That's the person he came for. Because they don't even know about the good news. It's all on their own. So what if when we showed up, we weren't scared of what people were going to think about us? And we were instead excited to say, hey, I'm with my team. I've had a hard week. I have not been doing well at all the small things. Actually, I've been doing a lot of really bad small things, and my week has been terrible. And what if we showed up and we linked arms with each other and we were a team and we stormed the gates of hell together? And we said, Satan, you're not going to take anything from us. We're living our lives for Jesus. This is the kind of family that Jesus wants. Not for you to be scared when you come here. I don't care what you're going through. I don't care if you're doubting. I don't care if you're maybe not believing in Jesus anymore. Do you know where I want you? Right where you're at right now. In the seat that you're in right now. I want you here. Your friend that you're too scared to bring here because you're scared of what all your church friends are going to think, I want them in the seat next to you. I want people to feel a little bit uncomfortable. That's okay. That's what Jesus died for. That's what he is here for. And that's the kind of place that we're supposed to be. So as we're ending this series, all of the small things, what do? We need to let Jesus wash our feet when we show up. And we need to let each other wash our feet. Because there's someone in here who's going through something that can help you. But if you never share, they can't help you. And when someone shares, help them back.